So in this video, we are going to talk about the cover sheet. It's labeled as sheet A101. And what I'm going to do is right click on it, rename, and simply call it cover sheet. Sometimes you will identify other things that are on the sheet when you have a cover, index, legends, if you have any drawings, of course, notes, things like that often appear on the cover sheet, but we'll just keep it pretty simple and call it cover sheet. Now we're going to change a couple of things about the sheet numbers. We'll keep the order as you see here because you often want to go from kind of the big to the small. So this sheet 103, we're going to rename that one to 102. It's at 1/8 inch, and then the next one goes to 1/4 inch. So we're kind of getting more detailed as we go through the set here. And wall sections are yet an even more detailed, higher or bigger scale. And that last one, structure 2, I thought we named this something else. Let's see here. Should be structure 2, framing details. Oh yeah, I put some spaces in here, so framing was one row below. Okay, so we're still going to rename this one to be 105. Okay. Other things that you want to do is go through and where the author is, put your name. And so I won't put my name here. I'm just going to write your name. So you want to go through every sheet and do that. And for the checker, sometimes you'll see on a set of drawings some initials. So you could put me if you want, CM for me. But this is going to have your name. And then this issue date will be the final date or the final class. So you can look up in the calendar when that is. You could also put the date that you are actually completing this and turning it in. Basically it should just have, somewhere in the month of April or May as the date that is being submitted. And you're going to go through and change all of those on all 5 sheets. Okay, let's get back to our cover sheet. So one thing that we're going to bring in here is that 3D axo drawing that we created. It's the exploded axonometric, and I'm going to pull that in here and maybe adjust its size a little bit. I don't want it to extend into the border lines there, so I'm going to go to size crop and I'll change it. Let's just try it. 30 inches, apply, and okay. Did it do it a little bit? Maybe we want to bring it down a little bit more. I'm going to try 26 inches. Okay. Now, so it's cropping it a little bit, and I think that's okay. As far as the title goes, it doesn't really need a title. I'm just going to take it and move it outside of the title border so that it doesn't print. Okay, so the cover sheet, again, it's going to have, a consistent date for the whole set, your name here, and if you want to include my initials for that, that's fine. All right, next thing that we'll do as we finish up this set of drawings is to bring in an index. Okay. So over in the project browser, you're going to find the schedules and quantities item here, right click and click on new sheet list. Okay. We're going to have a few things in our schedule fields. We're going to have the sheet number. And so you select it and you move it over. And we will also have the sheet name. Okay, now there's going to be some setting changes that we need to do. sorting, grouping, format. It'll take us a little bit of trial and error to get the heading orientation alignment left. We may need to kind of get it in place before we can make some of these decisions. Thin lines for stripe color. So we'll come back to that. I'm going to click on OK. Wait, before I do that, show title, show headers. Okay, here's where we can probably make some changes. The title text, I'm going to make it bigger. The header text, I'll make that bigger. The body text. Let's try all of it in the same 1/4 inch Arial and click on OK. All right, so there it is. And I am going to go back to the cover sheet and I'm going to drag that in the same way that I would drag any kind of detail. Place it here. Now, as you can see, it needs to be modified a little bit. I'm going to have plenty of space on this sheet, so I might as well try to get everything in one line. Looks like you have to drag it towards the right. And I think I'm not going to be able to keep that the way I had it with that gap. So I'm going to go to this and I'm going to rename it. And I'll just have to live with the fact that structure 2 and 2 is right next to framing. Okay, sheet number. You know, we probably could, let's see if we can place it consistent with a consistent dimension around. And maybe we can edit a few other things here. I'm going to go back to the sheet list. And I'm going to use all capitals like I've been. Sometimes this is called the sheet index. And also here, sheet number, sheet name. So back in the sheet list here, I'm going to click on edit and appearance. Or under formatting for alignment, I'm going to center it. Click on OK. And then go back to the cover sheet here. I'm going to stretch this so that number isn't divided into two lines of text. And I'm going to work on getting the sheet list, the title here, to be larger. So if you go to the Annotate tab and you click on the little arrow here in the text panel, you can duplicate some text. Like let's say we want to make it 3/8 of an inch Arial. You can then change the text size to 3/8 of an inch. And while I'm here, if I wanted to, I can make it bold. So I think I will do that. I'm going to make that one bold, say OK. And then when I go back to my sheet list and I want to edit the format, the appearance or the format for the title text, I can now make it that 3/8 inch Arial and say OK. So it's going to make that a little bit bigger. And then I can go and I can also create under Annotate, I could create a second text type that's 1/4, duplicate it and call it bold, say OK. and leave everything the same except make it a bolder text. So now when I go to the sheet list here, I could change this to this bold text. And then let's take a look at this. Okay. I want to see if we can get the sheet list to be a bigger row here. So in the sheet list, if you go to resize would be the way to resize. You can resize a column. Let's see, does it let us resize the row? Yes, we need to use this resize. So 1/2 inch is not enough. Let's try a full inch and say, okay, might be too big. That's okay, right? So again, you want to try to give a little bit of space between this index and the border. And that sheet should be ready to go. As you're kind of finishing things up, go through and double check to make sure you don't have any graphics that are sitting on top of other graphics. Transfer section sheet to make sure there's a little bit of gap between the drawing and the border. I noticed with the wall sections that there were some issues here when I adjusted the crop window here. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to make an adjustment to that where this is sitting a little closer in. And now I'm going to go back to that sheet. Yeah, so now at least, this still is a misalignment between these levels, which I'd like to fix, but perhaps another time. I'm going to move the details over because this one is now too close to the edge. Okay, and just double check all of the sheets haven't moved around and there's not any additional information that appeared as a result of other changes that were made.